I got a message from my man G in the US, basically asking how that I use different buses. He wanted to know a little bit about my workflow. So today I'm going to cover basically how I work with buses in Reaper. It applies to any DAW. You can work with it even in a real mixing desk like this as well. But I'm going to show you how I do it. So first things first, I have a template set up. Just basically, I do change it up, but it helps me get started with tracks. It means I don't have to worry about mixing decisions too much. I can actually just get on with working. So I'm going to take you through the buses and it's going to show you what's what. They are just named bus 1 to 8. You could name them drums, bass, whatever you want it to be. So I'm going to go through the order that I work with the buses and then I'll show you what I actually do on the individual channels. So on bus 1, I'm using it for drums. I currently have the Saxon CS channel strip on there and re-EQ because quite often I'll maybe clean up some of the bottom end from the drums, not always. Um, and Britson bus. So I use Britson on all the channels. I haven't actually got it running on any of my individual channels on this particular track, but usually I will do before I mix down. That just gives a little bit of crossfeed and makes it more sort of analog sounding. Not in a major way, it's very subtle, but it does make a difference and it makes mixing a lot easier. Um, so I'm just going to give this track a quick little playthrough, and then you can have a look at what I'm actually doing for the processing on the drums before they go into the bus.
Where you rolling with? Shut the fuck up.
This track I started a few months ago. I've still not finished it really, but it was just like an idea put together in initially about half an hour, and then I just worked on it and put it into a bit more of a state of arrangement. So firstly, I'm just going to go through what I did on the drums. I'm actually not going to remember anything about this, so I'm just going to go through them and we'll see what's on each channel, and then I'll explain as I go along. So let me just make this mixer a bit bigger so we can see it all at the same time. And yeah, I'm mostly working audio, so these drums are split up. So we've got, I think, just kicks on this channel. It's not very common for me to use lots of reverb on a break, but this particular one, that's what I did. As with music, as with all music, there's no real rules. You just do what you need to do to get the job that you've got in your head. Right, so you'll hear there, basically the kick, snare, and the shakers, hi-hats, etc., all come out of bus 1. So the individual channels here. So we've got the kick. We're going to mute the effects bus for now because I want to talk about that later. So let me just go through each of the channels. Yep, so the reason I separated the breakout is because it gives me more control. So if you look at the channels I've just actually highlighted, I've got no plugins running. Reason being is because generally I'll get the break sounding how I want, I'll bounce it, then I'll chop it up and then rearrange, and then I may re-effect it again. So all this will make sense in a while, and it'll explain why we're going through buses. But the four elements there together are going from here. I've turned them off so they don't come out the main output. So if I mute the bus, you won't hear them. You'll hear the reverb. We'll come to that. Mute them. We're hearing just the dry drums without the reverb on. Each individual one of them is being sent to bus 1, as you can see, and then also bus 8, which is my reverb channel. So now I'm going to quickly show you a bit about the reverb channel. So I'm just going to mute everything but the reverb channel, and you'll hear the output of that. So what I've done on that particular bus is taken all the bass out, so anything below 200 Hertz I've essentially cut out. I do that a lot. A lot of plugins have those settings in there, but I prefer to actually do it here so I can just adjust it quickly whenever I feel like it. So yeah, together the drums and the reverb channel will sound. This particular track I was going for like a 96-ish type of style. Hence the drums are pretty simple, way more simple than most patterns I ever do. And yeah, it's just a variation of the Let a Woman Be a Woman break. So I'm gonna skip along very quickly over to the bass because it's the second part that I have in my bus list. So let's have a quick listen to the bass. So what I've done here, I've got 2 channels of bass. One of them is the main bass, and then the same bass again sent out to another channel with loads of crazy effects on. So if I show you the bass on its own, and then I'll add the second channel. It's quite subtle, but together. Because essentially what I've done on this channel is a bit similar to the reverb. So I've taken out some bottom end out of the actual bass channel, and then I've put loads of distortion on. So for this particular track, I think, yeah, I'm using Redopter and I'm using Phaser Tan. I like phasers. I like messing with the phase as the track plays. It makes things vary. It doesn't make it the same every time it hits. It gives it its own little loop as well. So even though these may be set to sync rate, they still over time change what they're doing. So the bass won't just play the same sweep every time it plays. So if I just put the bass on loop a second. I'm going to bring in the deep bass as well. So you can hear slight changes in the tone going on there as well. Like these effects, they're not crazy effects, they're just subtle changes, and then sort of blending them back together. This I've got another phaser here, sound hack one. The thing is, a lot of these I'm actually turning the mix down, so they're very low in the actual mix. I do that a lot within Reaper itself, just because again I prefer it there, and I can also automate it quite easily if I like. So yeah, so this particular phaser was literally probably 10% wet. Now I've just put it on 100, so we'll see what it sounds like. So yeah, it's very subtle again, but you hear the changes it's making. This particular bass, I've got no reverb or anything like that on there. I would quite often on the sort of distorted channel without any bass in, I would send that to a verb or a delay. But this track didn't really need it, to be honest. I say this track didn't need it, it's still not finished, but it doesn't need it currently. So.
Where you roll up with? Shut the fuck
But you hear that vocal there with the swearing.
Where you roll up with?
I haven't actually got that coming out of a bus, but I have got it sent to the bus with a delay on there. So on this particular one, and anyone who knows me or sees what videos that I make, I use this bionic delay all the time. I have done for years. It's really simple. Yeah, it's still 32-bit, all that stuff, but it does what I like, and it shows you don't really need expensive plugins to do a lot of these things. I do have expensive plugins, but yeah, I use whatever I need for the job. There's no snobbiness with me. So yeah, so that vocal literally
Where you?
is coming out the main outputs, and then there's a send going to the bionic delay on bus 7. So again, this is just my system. Sometimes I have more buses, sometimes I'll have the 8 there and I only use 5 of them. It depends on the track. This is quite a simple track, but yeah, I tend to use bus 7 for reverb, and then sorry, for delay, and I use bus 8 for reverb. So yeah, that's how it's going with this one. So
Where you roll up with? Shut the fuck up.
and then there's a channel here with the piano. So the piano is going to the 4th bus, and then it's also going to bus 7, which is my delay channel, the same one that the vocal's going through. But I decided not to even take, I mean, sometimes I'd take like the low end out of that as well, but this track, because there's so little going on as far as content, I'm not actually bothering. So if I now just have a look, I've got a bit of automation here, so the bass changes. But yeah, this it's different every tune. Like I say, this tune is so stripped back. It's doing the job that I planned it to do, and I didn't really want to go too crazy embellishing it with loads of stuff. So bit of automation, bit of subtle changes on the bass throughout the track. Um, yeah, and then a bit of a vocal and a piano. Really, that's it. It's quite straightforward. I did record loads of other bass. So I might use some of that later. I might chop some bits out of that and put them in as variations. But like I say, the bass that I've gone for at the moment is just what it is. I hope I haven't waffled on too much, but that's how I currently use buses. Like I say, there's no rules. It does change. Um, I just like to keep things simple. I like to use the word KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Because really nothing needs to be as complicated as people make out. You just need to make music that makes that inspires you and shows who you are. So peace out, everybody.